Okay, I am an experienced beekeeper of all of 2 days, but I did a lot of research before I bought my equipment, and a big issue was top feeders. What's the best way to feed your bees? These bees have been here for actually less than 48 hours, and after all my research, you know, you have the feeders that will go into the front of the hive, down here, and they kind of stick out. You've got the feeders that take up a slot like a frame does, and then you've got the top feeders. Well, I decided to go with the top feeder. It made more sense to me because I thought I could put sugar water on this side if I needed to, and there's some bees over there drinking right now. And I could put patties over here, protein patties on this side if I needed to. So I was very happy with that decision. Got one for each of my hives, and then put them on. Now, one thing I thought it would be nice because I could be able to feed them without disturbing the hive, which is actually very true, because I open up the top and the only thing that's exposed inside the hive is this one slit down the center. So the bees are not bothered as I refill this. Like I said, it's been less than 48 hours, and this one here is almost completely dry again. They've drank about 1.5 gallons of sugar water out of hive number 2. Now, I was really concerned about hive number 2 because I saw a lot of wasps trying to get into it, and I didn't know if actually any got in. So I wanted to break it open today and you know, give it a couple days to settle down, but get into it and see if anybody who had been, you know, if the wasp actually got in. Well, what I found was when I went to move this is quite heavy. It's got 2 gallons, so a gallon goes in each side here. 2 gallons of syrup water in there was quite heavy, and I actually ended up spilling the sugar water on the landing ramp or pad down here, and the bees were getting stuck. They'd come out and they get stuck, the wings get stuck, and they couldn't fly away or get in. So I actually had to wash off the front of the beehive in order for them to get in. So the advantage is, with the top feeder, is that you can put different items in either side. Sugar water over here, protein patties over here. It doesn't disturb the hive. And the problem is if you want to get down into the hive and these are full, it creates an issue. So I've been keeping mine topped off. I'm not going to do that. See, this is floating all the way to the top. I'm going to keep them maybe 3/4 of the way, halfway full. But this is now going to be the 3rd time I'm going to have to fill this. Oh, sorry about that, little girl. 3rd time I'm going to have to put more sugar water in here in 48 hours. These guys were really, really thirsty and hungry. Now, the reason why you want to have 2 hives is because over in this hive here, they have hardly drinking anything. They've drinking maybe 1/2 gallon of sugar water, where these guys drank 1.5 gallons. I was concerned about this hive, hive B, because I saw very little activity compared to hive number 1, the first 24 hours. But now, I don't know if you can really see this, but the activity level seems to be pretty even as far as number of girls coming and going. Everybody looks like they're working well. We finally got a nice sunny, windless day, and so I think they're having a good day. So just something to consider when you're looking at for feeders, whether you want a top feeder, a front feeder, a slot feeder. So just there's advantages and disadvantages to each. Okay, well, this is, I think, a pretty good example of robbing. The hive over here typically has a lot more activity, and it did till about 10 minutes ago. And then all of a sudden we get this huge amount of activity over here on number 2. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Actually, I thought I saw both queens sitting out in front, but because I see the spots on them, but I actually don't think they were the queens. I didn't get a really good picture of them. But what happened here is somehow there's a bunch of honey, or let me go around the tree here, syrup water on the landing pad. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of shiny, but So all the bees from hive number 1 came over to hive number 2, and they're just going crazy on, I think it's the sugar water. Now I had thought I'd done a pretty good job of cleaning that up, and I was going to finish cleaning it up later this evening when they weren't so busy and I wasn't going to be in their way. So yeah, keep the hives clean, I guess. It'll be interesting to see if some of these guys, girls migrate over to this hive B and strengthen the hive, or if they're just taking it and robbing it and taking it back over to their own hive. Anyway, so I thought this was a pretty, I mean, they're just stacked up there, shoulder to shoulder. And they're just, I imagine they'll have that clean off pretty quickly. I don't know if it was the heat or or when it cooled down or what, but somehow that all of a sudden showed up. Can't tell exactly how, but it looks like they're taking care of it. Anyway, honey or some kind of robbing going on here in the hives in the backyard. Well, I found out what was causing the robbing, and it was, oh, look at that bee attack. Some insect is in there, and that bee just got way on him. I don't know what it is, but he didn't like it. But anyway, right down here, you can see a river of sugar water. It's because, and I mentioned I think I mentioned previously that they were only drinking out of this one side, and they had drank about 1.5 gallons. Well, that's about how much is leaked out of this one side. This is a faulty top feeder. It's leaking from over here. So that's what kept feeding this river of sweet water here and caused the attack. So I'll call Brushy Mountain, tell them I got a faulty top feeder, and see if they will do what a good provider will do, which I think they will, and that is replace it, because it is not working and it needs to be replaced. So there we go, problem solved. I'll just put sugar water on the other side, and it doesn't look like they've been actually using much of it at all. My wife just asked, are you supposed to be in the hive this often? Well, I guess you need to be in as often as you need to take care of the hive. Okay, life in the neighborhood is back to normal. I came out and cleaned up the extra syrup water that had run down to the front, and only put syrup water in the top right side of the feeder that wasn't leaking. I contacted Brushy Mountain, which is where we buy all of our bee supplies, and they emailed me back and said they apologize for the inconvenience and they will expedite a new top feeder out to us tomorrow. They're back ordered today. As soon as they get them in tomorrow, they'll expedite it out to us, and they'll send us a return shipping label for the old one. So I'm very pleased with them and very pleased with their products. Great customer service and outstanding products. So things are busy at the hives and doing well. This is LDS Prepper out.